Welcome to the Creative Rural Economy Conference, to Grant Hall, Queen's University, and to the start of 2 exciting days of exploration of creative enterprise, both in terms of scholarship and practical impact on our businesses, our organizations, and our communities. Thank you all for taking the time to be present with us. Before I officially start the conference, I'd like to draw your attention to the packages that you received when you registered. There's a lot of information in there, both about Kingston and the county, and about today's events. I'd like to just do some logistical things as we get settled. You'll note that the events at Queen's are being held in 2 locations only, here in Grant Hall. And for those of you who are not familiar with Grant Hall, this is the venue for many of our convocations, and it has a wonderful history. It's in the colors of Queen's. You'll see the red, the blue, and the gold. This is historic and creative. It's just a wonderful venue for a conference like this. But the second site, which is available to you just through a passageway to my left, you don't even have to go outside, is Kingston Hall. And our breakout sessions after this morning's plenary are in Kingston Hall. If you would like the fresh air, you can go out those doors and then just go up the steps immediately before you, or just simply stay inside. So we're here in Grant Hall and in Kingston Hall only. Other logistics, washrooms are available beneath us, so they're downstairs. They're also very small, primarily for handicapped washroom facilities on this level. There are a number of people who will be helping throughout the day, and I'd like to draw your attention to those who are in the room. I see Harold at the back. If you could ask the team, just Christine and Joe and others who are present, to come on in, that would be awesome, so that I can just say, if you have any questions throughout the day, please feel free to approach any of these individuals and myself. So there's Harold Flaming, Christine Duclos, and Giovanna Crocco was somewhere in the back. Vic and Corey, could you stand too? There's Corey and Vic. Vic is here, I'm sure. Jackie, for those of you, Jackie's at the back also. So please, if you have any questions, see any of this wonderful team, Dan at the front, Dan Taylor, who I'll be introducing in a second, and myself. And there's Vic peeping around the corner. Come on, Vic. You get to do good work all day as well. So that's your team behind the scenes, plus the Monieson Center staff, which I know many of you are familiar with. I'll stop there. So again, it's a delight to be present and to be with you to look at theory and practice of the creative rural economy. I have the privilege this morning of introducing 3 very distinguished guests. The first of these guests who will help open today's proceedings is former Principal Tom Williams. I had the joy of interacting with former Principal Williams in my role as the lead on the Knowledge Impact in Society project that was funded by SHIRC. And I was amazed at his commitment to research, to individuals. But let me not just talk from a personal perspective. We're in the presence of someone who's very, very honorable and committed. Let me just provide you with a sense, too, of what he has done for Queen's. He has served as Dean at Queen's for many years. He served as the Vice Principal of Operations, the Vice Principal of Institutional Relations, and most recently, prior to our current principal, he served as our principal. It is a great honor and privilege to ask Tom Williams, Dr. Williams, to open the conference formally. Please come. Thank you.
Thanks, Yolande. Am I far enough down you can hear me at the back? It really is my distinct pleasure to be able to bring you greetings from Queen's University. I have a particular fondness for the work of the Monieson Center. I've had the pleasure of working with Yolande for a number of years, both when I was a vice principal and a principal, and I followed the work of the organization for some time. I think it's a very laudable objective to bring together people on the academic / theoretical side of the equation and practitioners. And I have the scars on my back from being an active participant on both sides of that border. I spent some time as the acting president of the Kingston Economic Development Corporation. That was one of the first times I tried to retire and failed. And then I was the vice principal and the principal at Queen's. And those two experiences just drove home to me the critical need for us to be able to bring together people on both sides of that boundary to be able to capitalize and to build and to generate new knowledge and experiences and programs, the kind of work which I hope would come out of this kind of conference. I think it's rather ironic that you're in this historic building, as Yolande pointed out. What she didn't point out was some of the history of the building. And your presence here, I think, points out we've come full circle. This building was built with money generated by the students of Queen's University. The students needed to get into the act because the county government refused to provide funds for the building because of the then principle of the day's stand on temperance. Having a conference here that brings together both members of the community and members of the university, I think, is only fitting and shows that we've come full circle. On behalf of Queen's, on behalf of the School of Business and the Monieson Center, I really welcome you all here. I look forward to participating with you in your deliberations and learning and hopefully sharing in some of the fruits of your endeavors. And we look forward to having a very, very good conference. Welcome to Queen's.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. It's my honor to introduce our next guest and brief speaker, Dan Borowec. Many of you know Dan from his involvement in the Ontario East Economic Development Commission, or his involvement in the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus, or his involvement in Habitat for Humanity, or in his past role as Executive Director of the Eastern Ontario Community Futures Development Corporation Network. Many of us have the privilege of collaborating with Dan now in his role as Director of Economic Development and Tourism for Northumberland County. Dan has been a partner with the Monieson Centre for at least 4 years, perhaps longer, and has consistently supported our efforts to do research that affects communities. He has opened doors for us, not just in Northumberland County, but in other Eastern Ontario counties, and is a leader in terms of the thinking and the planning that is going on regionally here in the east of this province. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Dan Borowec.
Good morning, everyone. As you can probably tell, I'm not Bob Smith. I have the pleasure of standing in for Bob Smith this morning, the current president of the Ontario East Economic Development Commission. And as the Ontario East Economic Development Commission, for those of you who are not aware, we are a membership-driven organization that has a primary mission, which is to attract and market Eastern Ontario, attract business to Eastern Ontario. And we have done that, I think, or we are doing that in a fashion that certainly attracts new business and attracts ongoing partnerships. One of our mainstays within the organization has been to create sectoral teams, teams specific to individual areas, be it food processing or advanced manufacturing. And one of our newest teams, sectoral teams, is known as the Creative Economies sectoral team. And in our view of things, the creative economy represents a critical component in the renewal of Eastern Ontario. We have benefited tremendously from leadership in making the creative economy a very tangible and recognizable entity within our region. and some of that leadership is in the room today, and I'm sure as the conference progresses throughout the course of the next 2 days, you'll see what an impact that has had on the region. Just one other comment concerning the creative economy sectoral team. It's worked enthusiastically to try and pull everything together, to try and give recognition to the creative economy, and has worked hard along with our executive director, Jackie St. Pierre, who was recognized a bit earlier, to ensure that those both within our boundaries and beyond our boundaries can reap the benefits and take part in a informative and exciting event that's taking place today. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the numerous partners who have made this possible, from the Monieson Centre and Queen's as today's current hosts, to both levels of federal and provincial government, and to the County of Prince Edward and the Prince Edward and Lennox Addington CFTC, who has been a strong contributor, as well as the Rural Ontario Institute. So in all, folks, thank you very much for being here. Enjoy the event, and on behalf of Ontario East, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan. The final person bringing greetings is well known to, I think, most, if not almost all of you. Dan Taylor needs, almost in my mind anyway, no introduction. He, as you know, is completely passionate, almost besotted, I think, about the creative economy, which is a great thing because it's contagious. And as an academic who was a bit skeptical about this, it didn't take long for his enthusiasm to rub off on me. Dan has served, as you know, as the Economic Development Officer for Prince Edward County for many, many years. He, in that role, championed the practice of the creative economy, not just in Prince Edward County, but in other regions. He led the Ontario-based, and he leads the Creative Economy Alliance. He has facilitated studies in multiple areas of the province, and you'll be hearing more about that both today and tomorrow. In his new role as President and CEO of the Greater Peterborough Area Economic Development Corporation and the Greater Peterborough Innovation Cluster, Dan continues to devote his work and a lot of his personal time to fostering the creative economy. He is, as you know, a conference co-chair, and it is with great pleasure that I invite Dan to come forward.
Thank you, Yolande. This is an interesting journey for me. We have in the room Ian Hunter, who an Irishman that I met I actually met him online, not on a dating service or anything like that. And I was in the UK several years ago, and he offered to put me up for a night, and I recall a lovely Indian dinner and some cold beer and good discussions. I Googled many years ago the term creative rural economy to learn a little bit more about what was happening there, and Ian's name is the one that came up with the most depth to it, as he had put on a conference, I think in around 2006 in the UK. And so I'm really looking forward to spending a bit of time with Ian and hearing more about what he has to say. All that to say is I've really kind of coined that term here and brought that term and brought some life to it. And I think it's a really wonderful term to describe what we're doing. And in fact, I'm going to just spend a minute maybe defining what exactly are we talking about, because when we talk about the creative rural economy or creative economy, people have all sorts of different ideas. And I think we're going to hear maybe different definitions than one I'm going to bring to you today. But the learning that I've done, mostly through Martin Prosperity Institute and Richard Florida's work, is that at the heart of it, the creative economy is about the labor force and creative workers. And that really is people who are primarily paid to think. They're analytical and autonomous, and they think on their feet. And that's basically what we're talking about. It's non-sectoral. The labor force is in every sector of the economy. So the creative economy is a new way to look at how economies work. And so it'll be interesting to see how other people talk about that, but that's my learning and that's sort of my focus. I want to thank, and there's Kevin Stellaric will tell you he's taught me everything I know about the creative economy, and that's mostly true. Did I get the story right? Okay. Jean Ann Carroll, who's in the back, we worked together for 4+ years in Prince Edward County. About a year before she joined our team, I had this idea of putting on a creative economy conference. So I'm a little slow start on this. It took about 5 years. And I want to thank all sorts of people. I see Stephen Paul, who's involved in Ontario East, that helped give us an opportunity to write grants. Jackie St. Pierre, who's the executive director, who's been a real firecracker and really kind of picked up the ball, or I would like to say I pretty well dropped with my transition. And there's a whole team. Yolande's worked very hard. Joe, Harold, and Christine on the team. A lot of people pulling this together and really delight. We're going to have the content is going to be awesome. This is really going to be a world-class conference. For those that tweet, hashtag CRE 2011. I already see some conversations happening, so spread the word. Get it out with your friends. And for those that have no idea what I'm talking about, I'll say it again. # or hashtag CRE 2011. Tweet away. I'm not sure how we're doing it on Facebook. Thank you for coming. We're going to have an awesome day. Thank you, everybody, for their hard work on putting this conference together. And remember, in the creative economy, it's not so much sectoral based. It's about the creative workers and how they penetrate all areas of the economy, all sectors, and use their minds to be innovative and move the economy forward and come up with great new economic ideas. Thanks.